Hola, welcome back to our Riviera Partners Realty IG Live weekly series, International Luxury Real Estate Experts. Our objective is to bring to you up-to-date information on market conditions and high-end luxury travel and tourism and real estate from different geographical regions across Mexico, the US and Canada, primarily at this time. Through our strategic partnerships with top brokers across the US, Mexico and Canada, and with leading hotel brands, hoteliers, investors, developers, and other industry professionals. I'm here as always with my good friend and business partner, Wally Lopez.
Hola, and thank you everyone for tuning in today. Here we are in another of our Instagram live series, as always from a different beautiful location, and today we are at the recently finished Conrad Punta de Mita Resort, which is located in the gated development of Litibu, next to the Punta Mita development and in between Punta Mita and Sayulita. This resort offers 324 rooms, great amenities, several restaurants, spa, kids areas, and more. Very family friendly, lots of pool areas, and I may say it will be a great complement for all the hotel offerings in the area. We're here in one of the beachfront suites, which by the way is very stylish, as you can see behind me, and the architectural style of the resort is very modern.
Our special guest here today at the table with us, just incidentally, we've been wearing face masks the whole time on the way in. The windows are open, the fresh air is blowing through, but we are all conscious of wearing our face masks and somewhat socially distancing so we can bring the show to you today. We're here with our special guest and our good friend also, Brett Ellsworth. Wally and I have known Brett for over 20 years. We all worked together in Punta Mita way back in the beginning. Brett, together with his father, may he rest in peace, was a development advisor for Dine as Dine launched Punta Mita, and they were the founders of Punta Mita Properties, which still exists today within Punta Mita, and Dine has Dine's office within Punta Mita. The first sales and marketing contract they had with Dine more than 20 years ago, and thankfully Wally and I were both involved in that with them at that time, way back when, making us feel old. Brett has been involved in many developments since, high-end luxury, all of them, over the past decade since we last all worked together with his company, Contact Development Company. And Brett and his company is the co-developer of this new and excited Conrad Punta de Mita Resort, here where we are today in this incredible sandy beach resort in Punta de Mita, Mexico. Welcome to the show, Brett.
Welcome, Brett.
Hey guys, great to see you. Great to see you, Jonathan, Wally. Thanks for having me. This is great. I am thrilled to be able to give you guys a sneak peek a couple of months before we're opening the Conrad here at Punta de Mita within Litibu. It's been a number of years in the making, and we're finally just getting ready to open coming up here on September 1st. So thanks for having me. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Brett. Thank you so much. And as always, good to see you, my friend, and thank you for your time today. As Jonathan mentioned, we have known each other for the past 20 years ago, working and collaborating at the beginning of Punta Mita Properties. So, yeah, it definitely has passed some time. So, Brett, we have prepared some questions and topics to discuss today.
Sure.
I will start with the first question, and usually what we do, we do back and forth between Jonathan and myself. So I'll start with the first question, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
So, Brett, tell us about yourself and your background. We know you have been in the resort development business in Mexico, including sales and marketing, for quite some time. We all worked together around 20 years ago, as I mentioned. Tell us what brought you to Mexico and what you have been doing since we all worked together back then.
Absolutely, pleasure. Thank you again. What brought me to Mexico? And thanks for mentioning my father. My father was a renowned resort real estate attorney, and I was the benefactor of all his travel to Mexico as I was growing up. And it got under my skin and almost in my blood. And when I graduated in 1992 with a master's in real estate development, I graduated right into a different kind of crisis, a different kind of problem, which was the savings and loan crisis up in the United States. And a developer in 1992 was an oxymoron. That was up in the United States. But Mexico was booming, and it was my opportunity, I felt, to come down and learn the language. I knew geographically Mexico, but to learn the business culture, learn the language. And so I made that decision interviewed with a number of companies in Mexico and was fortunate to find a great position with what was then Mexico's largest resort development company, Grupo Citur. 2-3 years into that tenure, another crisis happened, which was Mexico's peso devaluation in 1994-1995. That spawned myself and my father, who was backing out of the practice of law after a great 30-year plus career. We formed Contact Development Company then in 1997. You know the story of Punta Mita, which was 1997, which was 2 years before anything opened, and that was all the preparation and setting up condominium regimes and membership programs and running the international marketing and sales and really getting Punta Mita out the gate with a phenomenal owner-developer, Dine, over there. Fast forward, after Punta Mita, and after the passing of my father, after working with him for 9 years, we decided to develop our own projects rather than others. And so what we did was had fallen in love because of Punta Mita and Mexico with Puerto Vallarta, with Punta Mita, with what is today called, and it wasn't then, the Riviera Nayarit. Of the three major destinations in Mexico, Los Cabos, Puerto Vallarta, Riviera Maya, for me, this is by far the most Mexican of destinations, and this is where I decided to stay and plant roots for a longer period of time, raise a family and so forth. So we acquired a piece of property with an institutional capital partner back in 2006 into another 2008-9 crisis. Check that out. But we were fortunate. We were able to tap on the brakes. Everything was planned, permitted, entitled, and literally shovel ready just in time to tap on the brakes. We shifted over into marketing. As you may recall, we put on a number of big international surf contests and stand-up paddle contests, and that's what you do with your time when you're not building. But coming out of the gates and breaking ground, we went and built through an amazing beach club and through phase one and sold our minority interest as developer back to our capital partner to then move on. And that always opens doors. And if you know geography, for those maybe who've been down here, between Punta Mita and Sayulita, Litibu is kind of not smack in the middle, but is in the middle. And that's where Litibu is. And Litibu is a large 400-acre master plan community that was started by the government, Fonatur. And it opened its golf course in 2006. And so that's, I'll talk a little later maybe, I think, about this particular asset. But that's 25 years at a glimpse in Mexico.
Wow, fantastic. And time does fly.
Yeah.
As we all see every day that we look in the mirror. Thanks, Brett. That's really enlightening for us to hear what you've been doing. Obviously, we've been following you, but to share with our viewers of our IG Live show. Our second question then, in our business, I mean, we all know, we're always faced with many challenges, and we have to be prepared always for anything, right? Especially these days. As you said, from when you started coming into the business, and then the last 10 years, there's been, ups and downs, right? It's just the way life is. And we have to be aware and open and keep our eyes open for opportunities. So our question for you today is, tell us how you came across what was the La Tranquila development, now turned it into the Conrad as we're here today, Punta Mita Resort, which is incredible, and how you turned this around and brought in your capital partners, Walton Street Capital, here in the resort.
Terrific. This was everything. Punta Mita was a challenge. Punta Sayulita was a challenge. This was certainly a challenge. In fact, we're not having fun if it's not a challenge.
We like challenges. We like challenges.
But this was, as I mentioned, I think Fonatur, who was the master developer here, their responsibility is to put in infrastructure to launch resorts. Fonatur is the government agency that launched Cancun in the early 70s, launched Los Cabos and other resorts around Mexico. This was a smaller project of theirs, 400 acres. And in 2006, I was here for the ribbon cutting. Felipe Calderón, the then president of Mexico, was inaugurating this phenomenal Greg Norman signature golf course in 2006. And the streets were in, and the golf course was in, and the water and sewer power were all in on the dime of the government. And their business is to stimulate investment, which they did. And within a very short period of time, they sold out of all of the sub-developer opportunities here at Litibu. Unfortunately, those sub-developers after their planning, permitting, entitlement, and they were just three of them, Iberostar, what was La Tranquila, and another condominium project nearby, Hansha. They broke ground right into a headwind that was just insurmountable, the 2008, 9, 10 economic crash. And that affected us all across the board. Up at Punta Sayalita, we were able to stop, as I mentioned, before starting, but here three projects did start. And so Fornatur did wonderfully. The sub-developers just couldn't survive that at that time. Iberostar did come out. They've been open now for over 4 years and doing phenomenally well at about a 400-plus room all-inclusive resort behind the gates. La Tranquila was originally developed, as you may recall, a whole ownership condominium project. And so it was from the, and fast forward, you may see this in a flyover later in the program. Everything you see in the flyover is 100% new development with one exception. The main tower or building or six-story building is a massive remodel. But other than that, everything from the street to that building and then well over, almost half the rooms are all new build and all of the pool areas, amenities. It was a failed project to no fault of the original developer. Unfortunately, they just couldn't surmount it. So it was two families from Guadalajara that had done really a great product, but it couldn't get out of the gates. And they tried whole ownership condominium, timeshare, fractional, all the way down to running a boutique hotel, and it just wasn't designed as a boutique hotel. There was no way to get out from that. So in sitting down with them, it was not easy. They had a lot of passion and so forth, but in negotiating with them and in bringing in parallel, world-renowned brands. How are we going to position this, and who's going to come in from one of the Marriott family hotels, one of the Hilton family hotels, one of the Hyatt. What we didn't want to do was an all-inclusive resort. Sure. We really didn't, because of our experience at Punta Mita, Four Seasons, St. Regis, and the like, to see what the economic bang from an employment, from a visitation, from an expenditures standpoint. We wanted to balance out Liddy Boo, which had one all-inclusive. We wanted to balance that out with her. So we really went after the project as an opportunity to acquire it, and Hilton with their luxury Conrad brand ended up being. But just prior to that, we needed an investment partner. We're a developer, and after talking with numerous institutional investment private equity funds, hands down by far, Walton Street Capital, saw and shared the vision and stepped up to the plate. And this is their ownership, 100% ownership. This is their asset, and they were believers in this, and they're a great partner to have. And without them, we wouldn't be having this conversation here today, quite frankly. We could have all the ideas we want, but without Conrad operating and without Walton Street, and then also there's another partner involved, which is HRV Hotel Partners, that is a project management, construction management arm. The four of us together, we started it, but without the rest of the team, we're going nowhere. So Contact Development, Walton Street, HRV, and Conrad is the base. And from there, put together the architecture and the positioning, just to step on this, is really to fill a massive gap. As we feel a massive gap in this market. Punta Mita set the bar and continues to. The two hotels that are opening probably next year, one and only Alberge, will I'm not going to say exceed that, but they'll play on the same field, let's call it that. After that, there's Iberostar Palais. There's really not a luxury hotel catered slightly larger that could handle larger groups and weddings and the like at a, if you can call luxury pricing, reasonable pricing, but as a more attractive pricing, just really filling a much needed demand that this market for years has not been able to keep local.
Thank you. Makes sense. And just to pick up there on one thing that Brett said here, we will be, as we came yesterday and took photos of drone of the resort here. So at the end of the show today, when we publish our final video, we'll add on the drone footage that Brett was talking about and the photos, so you can actually see this incredible resort, not just inside this beautiful suite where we are.
And thank you, Brett, for sharing all that. For our audience, and we've been in the real estate business for quite long, everything that you explained, by the way, it took time. It took a lot of time to put all these pieces together, but often in times we want the people to know how all these resort developments come across, because definitely, apart from the challenge, it's time and putting all these pieces together. It just, thank you for sharing that. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
So Brett, tell us about Conrad Resort Punta de Mita and everything that we're seeing here today. How much land, how many rooms, concepts, marketing, market positioning, etc.
This is, as Wally said I think at the very beginning, it's a 324-room Conrad resort, roughly 60 suites of varying sizes, 2 presidential, which have a very nice name to them. We're in the grand suites, one of, I believe, 2 or 3 of these grand suites, 15 other smaller suites, but there's try and target 18 to 20% of the rooms in terms of suites, most of which connect or have walk-offs. So as we've seen in our experience here, people do come with friends, people do come with family, people do a lot of time come with kids. But this is a family destination. This is truly a family destination. If you had to pick one target market, it is a family destination. There's certainly a growing domestic market coming in, a growing drive-in market, fly-in market, but we almost don't even talk these days international or domestic. It's a family destination. Because of the family, tons of weddings. I couldn't even begin to tell you, but there was a specific wedding advisory firm hired to advise on that. Behind us is one of the 15 suites that has literally a wedding party, brides. All of the hooks are up high, so the wedding dress is purpose-built kind of wedding suite, quite frankly. So, Four Seasons, St. Regis, certainly one and only albergs as they come on. You can't ask for a better place to get married, but everybody's budget doesn't quite go there. And sometimes some of the size of these groups can't quite be accommodated. And we just, after 15, 20 years of hearing, I wish this, I wish that, and I'm not going to, Airbnb it in Sayulita. Some do, but not everybody's doing that. So this was just trying to fill. We asked ourselves, it was fun. We learned a lot of this with Dina. If a lot of developers continue to build what's already there. Right. What's working, I'll build another. And I call that kind of the better mousetrap. I'll build it prettier, bigger, this, that, and the other. And that's nice, and many people are very successful. It takes kind of the fun out of it. And so one of the things with Punta Mita was a different kind of question, and the team that Dina allowed us to assemble in working with them was to ask the question, what could be here, or what should be here? And it's not a build it and they will come mentality, which is sort of a dreamer, but it's a what could be here, what should be here, what's missing. Punta Mita was an answer to one of the prettiest pieces of real estate on planet Earth, to create a private gated master plan community with 2 public hotels. But those guests have a membership during their stay, and there's a whole story behind how that was structured. Well, I'll stop there and let you go to the next question, because I could go on for...
No. We discussed, and you share with us. It's really also a hotel that's going to be open to everybody here locally, and slightly more accessible price point too. So for friends and family and people visiting, if they don't have the price, well, like you said, the Four Seasons St. Regis, Auberge, as you know, we're representing for the real estate side, and then the one and only, just 45 minutes to the north. This is a fantastic opportunity, and you found a niche market that wasn't taken care of. So I think you did a good job with that.
Totally. One of the thoughts that was just driving through my head in terms of the difference between all-inclusive and European plan, and one of the reasons for doing this is there's here the whole concierge group, one of the positions, we want people to obviously stay here and enjoy it, but we do encourage, the idea was, and Conrad's doing an amazing job at making this hotel feel local by bringing in obviously local employment, but local food, beverages, recipes, chefs, and encouraging people to go explore, to get off-site, to go into these towns of Sayulita, San Pancho, climb Monkey Mountain, get on a horse and ride up and down the beach, and it's something you don't always find. So it's
and the position of the resort is, as you said, between Punta Mita and Sayulita, so there's many things to see and offerings in nearby villages.
Geographically, we're in a phenomenal region, as you said, and some of the most incredible real estate on the planet, in our minds, right? Absolutely. So our last question today, and we had to bring it up, obviously, is the COVID global pandemic. So here we are today, and obviously as we all follow very closely luxury brands, and a lot of them are reopening. I mean, right now, today, in fact, July 1st, as we are today, the Four Seasons St. Regis is opening, are opening again their doors in Punta Mita. And as you said, you guys are going to open the Conrad Punta Mita here on the 1st of September. But the question has to come, all hotel chains have had to somewhat reinvent themselves recently and kind of change what they're doing as far as relative to protocols and things like that. So our last question here today for you is, how do you see that changing your upcoming opening as a resort, September 1st, in 2 months from now? How do you see it affecting positively or negatively in the coming months as the Conrad prepares to open through this time?
Good question. One that if we had this interview in February, we wouldn't be asking. But
it was not on the table.
It's a new one. But we've had 4 months to figure it out, and I can't even. The beauty is of putting together a solid team.
Sure.
Everybody has their certain roles and responsibility, and I'm blown away. And I'm sure other hotel companies are phenomenal at this too. But the Hilton International and Conrad in particular, being a luxury brand, have done they've always done a phenomenal job at keeping the hotels and properties clean. But changes need to be made, and they've come across, and I'll let the general manager here, Marco Tibet, could certainly, if there was time to interview him on a future program.
Definitely would love to.
But I've seen Hilton come out. The first thing is guests and guest safety, and they've implemented a program called Clean Stay, which is a multi-level point of new protocols that are going to go into place. Some of which used to happen, and now they're obviously just being promoted as definitely happening. We need to get the message out, but they've got a Clean Stay program that handles the guests. They've got a something that they call, it's phenomenal, an event ready. This is a hotel that will attract several groups. It was designed, whether it's wedding parties or meetings, and so have an event of ocean around the world. But the Mexican hospitality is kind of second to none, and probably. It's going to be interesting to see how do you deliver luxury with a little bit more distance involved, and I'm sure there's guests that are going to love that, and there's others that might miss that. But we'll all go through a learning curve together. But the good news is we're in great hands with Hilton. We're in great hands with Conrad managing this hotel, and it's fun to kind of deliver an asset and to the owner Walton and to the operator Conrad and see where this baby grows.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing that.
No, thank you. And a brand new hotel.
Yeah.
It's also very important, especially in these times. No, thank you, Brett.
Thank you, guys.
So thank you for your time, Brett. Today, as always, it's been great catching up. Appreciate your time, and as we know, you're extremely busy. And as we mentioned, we're hosting here today at the Conrad Resort in Punta de Mita at the Litibu Bay. This is an incredible sandy beachfront resort property that backs onto the wonderful Greg Norman signature golf course. We wish you great success, Brett,
Thanks,
with
amigo.
all that you're doing here and in the future. And we will stay in close contact, I'm sure. And again, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Walter.
Thanks,
Thanks, Jonathan.
Seriously. We've been in touch over the years, obviously, as we have, as we're all kind of in this same industry together, and this part of the demographic of our industry, and it's been just a pleasure to watch you, how you've evolved and grown your company and doing this now. We know we can't talk about it today, but we know you have some great plans for the future coming soon, we can talk about soon. We'll be posting this week's show with our special guest, Brett Ellsworth, later today or tomorrow on all of our social media platforms. As always, Riviera Partners Realty. In our final video, like we were saying earlier, we'll add the photos and the drone video of this incredible resort, Conrad Punta de Mita Resort, here where we are in the Litibu Bay. Thank you for watching us again. We really appreciate you taking your time to watch our Riviera Partners Realty IG live series, International Luxury Real Estate Experts. So keep watching if you can, when you have time. We'd love to have you watch us and sharing everything we can with you. We'll try and keep you up to date on what's going on. We'll be back same day, same time, different special guest.
In different location.
In the future. Stay well, safe and happy, healthy. And we're going to show you quickly before we go the amazing view right here. So come with us. We'll show you the view as we finish off today here in the Conrad Punta de Mita Resort with Brett Ellsworth. Just going to pick up the microphone right here as the sound of the waves. So thanks again, Brett Ellsworth, our special guest here today. We're at the Conrad Punta de Mita Resort here in Litibu Bay, Punta de Mita, Mexico. Check out this view.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you soon. Thanks, Brett.